Hi, my name is Jake Lamphere. I've had significant hearing loss since birth. I never knew if it was something that caused it or if just bad luck. My parents actually didn't find out that I needed hearing aids until I was about three. The way they found out is my speech wasn't normal compared to some other kids around that age, and I wasn't acknowledging people around us. That was about 40 years ago. My loss has always been a steep sloping, severe hearing loss, bordering on profound. There hasn't been a lot of change except for a few years during college when I worked at a loud bar. I have never been able to hear anything over 4,000 hertz. I purchased a pair of Starkey Edge 24 in-the-canal hearing aids. Initially, I went with 16 technology levels, but there's a few things that I thought could be done a little better, and based on Starkey's advertising, um, compared to 16, decided I might as well try it. I'll mute one of the hearing aids to show you. So this is the general size and shape of the hearing aid. Try to show that a little better. Then that goes inside my ear, and then this is kind of faceplate of it. There's gold color charging contacts. On the back here, that's a microphone. The in the canal, and most likely completely in canal, and I don't believe they have a invisible one, but probably only one microphone on those. The in the ear has a second one. And then on right here, this is the button for this one is set up. One quick press on that will change the program. There's four that can be set up by a professional. Switch through that with just a quick press. Show the side a little bit. Okay, and then these are set up so that when I press and hold this for roughly 3 seconds, they will mute. If I want to unmute them, I just press the button quickly and it will do so. This charger, this is not the standard one. This is one that actually has a battery built into it. There's a little charging right here. You can't see it too well. When it's plugged in the back, there's a USB-C port. When it's plugged in, that'll light up and show you the battery level. This holds 2 to 3 charges on it. The standard charger does not do that. You need to plug it in to charge them. I also use Oticon hard case for when I'm going to work. Usually I'll shower in the morning before I go to work. I always let my ears dry for as long as it takes my hair to dry, usually about 30 minutes. So when I'm going to work, I'll put those into that case. So growing up, I always had Phonak hearing aids, and that was mostly always analog. I think it was high school or later that is when digital came around. So after college, I moved to a different area, and the doctor where I got the last pair of hearing aids from like Starkey, so on her recommendation, that's what I went with. Then they were I don't know what model they were. They were behind the ear, and they were pretty generic. No Bluetooth. They had telecoil, I believe, but that I never used it. I didn't know what it was until this year. The last pair, I just needed to replace them. The door hinge broke on one of them, and to replace it, it was, I believe, $350 to $400. And you have to replace the whole housing. So just due to age, and then the cost, I thought I'd get some new ones. So That's why I got these. When I was looking around to see different brands and manufacturers, since I hadn't really looked in 12 years, I found Zip Hearing on the internet. Decided to use them. They had a list of audiologists somewhat around me. Went to that doctor, Badger Hearing in Wisconsin, and then the two of us used Zip Hearing to actually get the hearing aid. What I really like about the Starkey hearing aids is that they do a great job improving understanding of speech in both quiet and noisy environments. And the Edge mode does it a lot better than the four programs I have set up otherwise. So these came with a personal program, and I believe they all do, set up from Starkey with what they think the tune needed to be based on the audiogram that we had sent them. They sent it with one program on it, and then the other three could be picked, and then you could kind of think of it as the fifth one being Edge mode, but to get to Edge mode, at least with that's how mine are set up, I need to use the app. Other models, or maybe the button can be programmed to do that instead somehow. So REM, or real ear measurement software, is what we use to get the tune really close. I know that Starkey has a lot of adjustability within the hearing aid to get the tune that you want, and it sounds very close to what the last pair does. Another thing I liked a lot about this is music program does a pretty good job with the sound quality, not trying to manipulate the sounds. Normally they're based around conversation, but the music program doesn't do that so much. So the latency isn't something I can really comment on. I do have a guitar, but I don't play with other people to know how quickly the sound being played to going into my ear actually is. The app is very user friendly for quick generic adjustments. Can't do a whole lot in there, but there's a fair amount. And then the last thing about these, I do really enjoy the rechargeable part of these. Having had only replaceable batteries, I was a little worried about, say I go camping for 5 days, what's going to happen. That's one reason that I got the built-in battery charger. Use a battery pack when I'm out camping. It should be able to cover it. As far as why I went with in-the-canal is I like to listen to music at work a lot, and then I also do need to use earmuffs or hearing protection around the factory, and I find that earmuff style while wearing these I don't have any kind of feedback when wearing them, but it make conversations a bit easier compared to if I were to take these out and use the earbud style hearing protection. A few things that I don't like about these. One, transposition feature. Two, the noise canceling at times. And then third thing is streaming. So the transposition feature, since I can't hear anything over 4,000 hertz, the idea is that it'll take something that's, say, 8,000 hertz and then move it or shift that sound down to 3,000 hertz so I can hear something. Let's say there's safety-wise, maybe there's an alarm that I can't hear. It'll play that as something I could. The issue with this, though, was to me, it sounded like it was compounding the natural sound and that transpose. So I have some noise playing at a volume, and then all of a sudden I get this quick bite. It also it wasn't a lot louder. It was just noticeable compared to what I thought the sound should have been at. It was a very sharp sound, and it got pretty annoying to me. So I had my professional actually turn that off. The noise control features can be good. It There are just two situations when I first got these that sh- showed me why it can be a pain. There's a junior hockey team in the U.S. around where I live, and the venue they play in is pretty small, but the PA, the announcer, and the music are pretty loud in there. So what would happen in the middle of the game is those sounds would be playing, whether it's the talking or the music, it'd be very loud. The hearing aid was trying to do its thing, make conversations easier, and it lowered the volume of everything. So conversation of or with the person I went to the game with was very difficult. It lowered the sound for 30 seconds or so, then be fine for 1 to 5 minutes. It was pretty random, but it was very consistent all night long. Didn't matter what program I was in. As long as the noise canceling was on, that's when the issue came up. I also had similar issues when driving around at highway speeds, so say 50 miles an hour or higher. Combination of probably the road and wind noise and everything else with traveling that fast made listening to the radio and conversations with whoever was in there with me as a passenger difficult. So what it came down to was in the app there are two, it's a wind reduction amount and noise canceling of some other sort. There's actually a couple others that only the professional can access or change for you. So after talking with the doctor in Starkey, they took my default personal program, turned off all the noise canceling stuff, and made a second program that was the same but had all the noise canceling stuff on. So two different programs. The one that when you take the hearing aid out of the charger, there's always that first program that's on. That's the one with the noise canceling for me. That issue is not present anymore. It just, I lose some, so I might switch to that second program with the noise canceling if there's some kind of a machine running nearby, say your refrigerator or air conditioning that's kind of loud and you want to block it out. That's something that the hearing aids are designed to lower for you so you can hear others well. The streaming. I was not going in expecting it to be great based on what others have said. It has a lot of adjustments, kind of similar to what you have for the personal program where you're listening to sounds externally, taking them into your ears. The issue I have with it, there is a little bit of distortion there. I have tried to explain it to two different doctors and Starkey, and nothing happened. So what it is kind of like the transposition, but a lot worse. That transposition issue I was experiencing, but a lot worse. So just whether it's music or just listening to a conversation on, say, YouTube, for example, the sound level is playing along, and then I get this quick spike. If you've ever listened to like a CD that skips every once in a while, it's that fast, but a lot louder, and it's pretty annoying. Not unsafe, I would say, but it happens a lot when it's streaming something. So for that reason, I genuinely just use the headphones I have. Really, I'll stream when those need to be charged, or if I'm out without them and just want to listen to something very privately, quickly, instead of playing it through the phone speaker or something. Compared to the Resounds, I prefer these a lot more, and the reason is the sound to me seemed more dynamic, like a variation of sound, whereas the Resound was pretty flat. Not that everything sounded the same, it just, it's kind of like with an equalizer, you can kind of tweak things a little bit to get how you like them to sound. To me, I could clearly tell sounds were different with a Starkey versus Resound. Um, One thing I think Resound struggled a lot at was, or with, is the beach noise. I went to a restaurant, somewhat busy. There's a lot of other customers around us, and then the kitchen behind us, and turn on the speech and noise program that they had there. I don't remember what it was called, but it lowered everything. And then the one person I was sitting across the table from made their conversation very difficult with them. The Starkey, in comparison, it does lower everything, but the background noise was lowered a lot more, so you can hear the other person speaking a lot better. Just easier to talk to others with. The two microphone thing. So since I only have one, at least it's been said or I've read that a second microphone actually does a better job at separating what you want to hear versus the background stuff. To me, these work really well, a lot better than behind the ears that I just came from. So I don't. I'm probably missing out, but I'm not bothered by it. So I'm just gonna turn to the side a little bit here to show what this looks like in the ear. The Resound, they were called in-the-canal, but a lot more of this area right in here was filled in with what they, at least we wrote on the paper, in the canal. The rechargeables are just so much bigger, and using headphones that I have, or even the earmuffs, there was some whistling or feedbacks wearing that. So another reason I decided to go with the Starkey. The last one would be I already know what it sounds like or what to expect from Starkey, so I didn't see an issue with it, so I wasn't going to change something. Compared to the old Starkeys, I've said it a few times, but the sound is pretty much the same. There's just a lot more features now compared to back then, and the rechargeables. In case I didn't mention it, these last quite a while for the battery life. I, I wear these about 16 hours a day. Other than when my hair is wet or I'm sleeping, I always take them out for those two reasons. I have about 50 to 60% battery life left at the end of the day. So I would say that's pretty good. Um, to competitors, I don't know. Resound was similar to this. That's it. Thank you.